Arc Raiders is set to launch here in just over 2 weeks, and I'm going to go over a detailed list on everything you need to know. That way you're completely ready for the day 1 launch. We'll go over things like extraction tips via topside, what to expect in PvPvE scenarios, additionally some new mechanics like the rotating map positions, player locales, even some new details around the home base. We got a ton to talk about. What's up, World Utopia, here back in with another video. Today we're checking out all things Arc Raiders. So we did just have a brand new article drop today from the executive producer, who if you didn't know is Alexander Grandal, which goes over a pretty extensive article here as I mentioned in the opener. So I'm going to break this down to you because there's a lot of words on the screen. That way we can categorize it and kind of summarize what we need to understand. So of course they go over the core gameplay loop if you didn't understand what Arc Raiders is if you're new to this. It's a multiplayer extraction shooter with adventure mechanics. They do mention that it is on planet Earth, which is kind of cool there to signify that. They do kind of go over the core loop here. It's an extraction shooter, of course, but it's to take contracts. Then you're fighting the Arcs, rival raiders, grabbing loot, extracting, upgrading, and repeating. The playstyle is either solo or with a 3-player squad. A cool thing here that matchmaking is actually going to prefer solos versus solos and squads versus squads. So those of you that are worried about wanting to solo play, you should be able to do so, as that matchmaking will be prioritizing these solo players. And of course, last up here is the risk versus reward. If you are then eliminated during your play session, you do lose everything that was on your character. Aside from your stash slot, usually you do get one or a few. Depends on how they kind of do that one there and how you upgrade that. Which, speaking of the play session, they are calling topside or the surface. This is primarily where you can scavenge, craftables, rare tech while machines and raiders hunt you. That part can get fairly intense as you see from some of the footage here. Now they actually do list off some of the enemy types. The first one here are the ticks. They're small stealthy climbers on walls. They're kind of like reminiscent of a spider, like they'll jump at you and land on your face. Don't worry though, if you're solo you can actually peel it off, it just takes a little bit of time. If you're with a team you can actually knock it off somebody, so that part is pretty cool there overall as well. There is also this mob called the Snitch. Now the Snitch is an aerial spotter that will call reinforcement if it does tag you. So a lot of people, if you do get spotted out, usually puts like a red light on you. If you see that from the spotter, you need to eliminate that thing very quickly. Again, it's usually prioritized in that moment, as you'll just have waves of these arcs attack you. The next one here is called the Leaper. It is a patrol brute with destructive leap attacks. Now this thing is like an upscaled tick. It's very, very large and essentially just a huge spider that is really hard to take down. Honestly, you really shouldn't try to take it down day 1. Or at least when you're just farming up gear, you're going to spend way too much fighting it. At least that would be my recommendation there. Now, if you want the challenge and you want the fun aspect of that, then of course go right ahead. Usually you do want to take out the limbs first though, so that it has a harder time moving. There also is the Bombardier and Spotters. Those can mark you for these lethal mortar strikes. These things are very, very strong. I would 100% not recommend taking these on day 1. Even if you wanted the challenge, you are just going to get one shot by this thing. But again, if you want to be my guest, these can be very frustrating though, especially the rocket launching one. You're basically going to get one shot if you are in T1 gear. There are a few others here like the Pop Fireball Bastion, including Wasps, Hornets. You'll have quests to take out the pop ones that kind of roll around just like the Fireball one as well. Those will roll at you. The pop ones kind of launch themselves at you, where the Fireball one will then shoot its flames at you. Usually they're inside buildings, where the pop ones are outside the buildings, at least from what I can remember from the tech test. They all have unique encounters, and I'm sure you'll encounter at least one of these on your run. Of course, on top of that, there is some PvPvE tension. You aren't alone here. Even if you're a solo player, there are going to be other players in this play session. The really cool thing here, though, is there actually is push to talk with both party and in the area effect. So there is area voice, which I absolutely love, and people were using it a ton during the tech test. So you can ally up with people, you can ambush them, evade them, even be a bit of a trickster. There's a lot of potential there. So very, very fun and unique dynamic mechanics. Now they do mention some Rust Bolt playable locations. They did actually unveil the new one, and there is another one that we'll go over, so another new map. We have the Dam Battlegrounds, which is forests, swamps, research blocks, apartments. Kind of decent for just getting to understand the Arc Raiders. Then we have Buried City, which is a bit more intense. That is a pre-collapsed metropolis drowned in dunes, hospitals, mall squares, high-rises. You'll see you can even be on the rooftops there, even have fights up there, there's bridges, etc. The next one is a spaceport. Obviously, it speaks for itself. It is a complex spaceport with industrial pads and hangars. This one has underground tunnels that are really cool there, and even above ground huge facilities. The second to last one here that we haven't seen, it is the new one called Blue Gate. That is mountain passes with small towns, tunnels, and underground facilities. So it kind of seems like a mixed match of all three. And then the last one, which is rumored right now, is the Stella Montes. However, the access is unknown for right now. So it does seem like this is going to be the true endgame area. Now, really cool, it isn't just those maps that are going to be kind of dynamic. They also are going to be adding the rotating map conditions. So there's going to be night raids that you could take on. These were during the tech test as well. The arcs are going to be tougher and you'll get better loot. But do be wary, it is going to be much harder to see in those conditions. And you might be needing to use your flashlight, which could give you away. There's also going to be a harvest season, which increased the nature loot yields. There's the electromagnetic storm, which decreases visibility. Navigation in tech is also disrupted. And last but not least, there's going to be a new hidden bunker with surprise routes, caches, and even risk spikes. So pretty cool overall. Now on top of those events and kind of the weather events, there is actually a world boss right now called the Queen. That is basically, as I mentioned, an apartment-sized titan. It is a pretty massive PvE enemy that's going to be guarding the mysterious harvester with newbie traps, but veterans obviously will have a scheme to take those down. And they do rumor at other colossal variants, which I imagine might even be part of the new map. I might be asking, how am I going to be able to take on things like the Queen? How can I take on other players? Well, they do have a bit of breakdown here with the underground home base. So first off is the progression, XP, and skills, where you'll obviously earn XP topside, then level up. You'll spend those skill points to tailor your mobility, stealth, and even carry weight, obviously helping you alongside everything where you can spec into different skill trees. I'll probably put out a build guide eventually once I get the hang of things again, seeing if they nerfed or changed anything from the tech test. Next up here are things where you can complete feats to earn creds and then get your raider decks, where you'll be able to complete mini objectives. You then gain creds, which will help you unlock the raider deck. Might be asking, what exactly is a raider deck? Well, it's actually a battle pass or Arc Raiders version of a battle pass. The cool thing here is that there will be only free raider decks at launch. They did have 3 of these during the tech test. No idea if that's going to be the same thing there. They really only say the 1, but maybe you'll be able to decide between 3, or that number could change, but again, they should be all free at launch. Eventually, those will go paid though. Also, from my understanding, these are purely cosmetic, and I do believe they've removed all of the items from the raider decks. Not 100% sure on that though. You can also explore things like the codex, which you can expand your encyclopedia, on the factions, lore, and locations. Maybe a bit of Easter eggs in there, tying into both games, the finals and Arc Raiders. We also do have a workshop where you can repair, craft, and even upgrade your weapons and gear. You can also upgrade these workshops itself to increase your tech. Speaking of that, we do have to go into another section here that was added later on and is tied to the workshop. I did cover this one in my last video, but I'm going to do a breakdown briefly of this new item or new crafting workstation. That is being called the Expedition Project. Now, some people are still confused on how this thing actually does work, but essentially there's not going to be wipes in Arc Raiders as of yet at least. Instead, there's going to be player-decided wipes, or at least optional ones, where you'll essentially be able to reset your level and reset your character, and that's going to give you some bonus incentives here. So this is going to be a new crafting station, again, with the Expedition Project, or called the Expedition Project. It's going to take you 8 weeks to craft it. On that 8th to 9th week, you can then reset your character. You'll lose everything from your stash, your skill points. You'll be reset to level 1. Of course, if you did buy any cosmetics, you're not going to lose those. Or anything you did purchase, you will not lose, at least via the in-game store. You'll then start from level 1, again with no talents, skills, gears, and an empty stash. You might get some default equipment there, but it'll just be whatever they give you default day 1. When you do reset, you actually get some buffs from that, and those buffs will actually stack on each other. Now after that, the next 8 weeks will then start, and then you can also do the next reset on the 16th week, which again then will allow you to get another buff, which will stack. They also said there might be some cosmetics that are tied to this, and that the buffs will either help you level faster, etc. A few things there. There's a note here, if you did miss the 8th week, your progress is still kept. However, you won't be able to reset until the 16th week. So you'll essentially be like 1 reset behind. Now this system is completely optional, so don't worry, you don't have to do this. If you just wanted to keep your character and all the stash space, or everything you have in your stash rather, then you can do so. You don't have to do the reset. But if you want to keep up, you should try to progress as you're leveling this up, and you'll be able to craft stuff for it per week. so you should try to keep up with that if you can. On top of that, also in the Sprinter, there's traders and quests. Those are a bit story driven with errands, where you're actually dealing with competing agendas there. You can also buy and sell things to them. On top of that, there are going to be trials and leaderboards. There's even going to be weekly ladders with multiple difficulties, masteries, and rewards. So really cool there. Can't wait to see those. I might go into this section further, but next up here we have the preparation and loadouts. Of course, they have identity and cosmetics. Those entail faces, styles, hair, body type, colorways, toggles, backpacks, attachments, charms that you can earn via quests, leveling decks, or the store. So really cool there. There is going to be some free cosmetics. They on top of that have weapons that you can deal with, the Rattler auto rifle and things like the Volcano, which is a shotgun, to things like the energy platform like the Equalizer. There's also going to be many other types, where you can then also add attachments and upgrades via the workshops. They do also have gadgets in here with lure grenades, zip lines, mines, door blockers, flares, bandages, and of course you'll be able to craft these or buy these from the vendors, so you don't have to rely on just what you're finding. On top of that, there is something called a shield, an augment, which will be trade-offs between speed and carry capacity, offense, and durability. These do have tiers 1, 2, 3, 4, and I believe even 5. Again, you'll need those to fight the Rocketeers and the Bombardiers. One side note with those, if you find those in raid, I wasn't able to equip them in the tech test. I'm super curious if those actually did get changed. I guess we'll see with the server slams. That's one thing that you guys could try out. Again, in the tech test, if you found a tier 4 shield augment, you actually couldn't apply it, or at least you couldn't in raid. Definitely worth checking out. This last one here, you might be asking, what if I lose everything in my stash space and I have nothing but a melee weapon or even less? Well, they do have some safety nets here. First one is going to be free loadouts with community care packages, and you can also use Scrappy the Rooster. So again, you can essentially load in on like a scavenger. That'll allow you to get a quote-unquote free loadout there, and those loadouts are randomly generated. And then of course, Scrappy the Rooster is there who you can level up. You can train them and they bring you back supplies, so that can help you with your crafting stuff and base things. One of the last note here on the matchmaking, they do mention they've tried to make it all viable for both solo and 3-stack coordination. Again, solos will play with solos and squads will play with squads. Those at least will be prioritized in matchmaking. Obviously, it's not 100% guaranteed there, but the fact there is prioritization should really help with that. Last up here, I've gone over these already, but there is some pre-order rewards, and also there's going to be some server slam bonuses. There's the Bruiser bundle with a few things that you get, the Lucky Duck bundle, and a few other cosmetic things that you can see here via the deluxe or even pre-order bonus. Again, if you want to see further details, I have my Expedition project video, and I also have my additions video with the Ultimate Launch Guide. So if you needed to, you can check out both of those for further details. Overall, though, should about cover for today's video. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, and until the next one. Deuce!